Have you ever stopped to wonder why so many older adults seem to quietly fade away before their 82nd birthday, even though they appeared perfectly healthy just a few years back? It's not always heart disease, cancer, or a dramatic fall that takes them. What's truly behind it is much quieter and far more overlooked than most people realize. I'm Dr. Evelyn Hart. For over 30 years, I've dedicated my career to helping men and women over 60 not just live longer, but live better. In those decades, across thousands of conversations and countless patient records, I've noticed patterns that are often ignored by mainstream medicine. And one pattern in particular stands out. Because what if I told you that one of the strongest indicators of how long and how well you'll live after 60 isn't tied to your cholesterol, your blood pressure, or even how fit you are? What if it was something far more personal? Something that many older adults have quietly stepped away from without realizing the toll it's taking. Today, I'm going to share a deeply powerful insight, a missing link that could help you stay clear-minded, strong, and joyfully independent well into your later years. And the best part? You won't need any prescription drugs, punishing workouts, or complex diet plans to tap into it. Because this key is something you already hold. It just needs to be reawakened. So stay with me. In a few minutes, I'll walk you through simple, practical steps that can help you reclaim your vitality. And the final part of this video may forever shift how you think about aging itself. Before we begin, I'd love to know where you're watching from. Go ahead and type it in the comments. I read every one. And if you haven't yet, please subscribe and tap the bell icon so you never miss these powerful wellness insights designed just for you. And if what I'm saying resonates, if this message speaks to something you've felt but never had words for, type the number 1 in the comments below. And if there's something you feel we can improve, type 0. Your voice helps us serve you better. Now that you understand how vital this often ignored aspect of health can be, let's begin with the first truth you need to hear. Because right now, a quiet epidemic is sweeping through our senior population. It's not in the headlines. It's not something most doctors talk about. But it's slowly draining strength, joy, and longevity from millions of older adults. It's the gradual loss of connection to physical pleasure. As I sit with patients in their 60s, 70s, and beyond, I often catch a certain stillness behind their eyes. Not depression exactly, but a kind of emotional retreat. A quiet surrender to a life that feels smaller, colder, and more disconnected than it once did. And over time, I began to realize what was really happening. It wasn't just loneliness. It wasn't just grief or aging muscles. It was that so many older adults had quietly and often unconsciously let go of their relationship with their own body, with the physical sensations, the touch, the intimacy that once made them feel fully alive. This isn't something most people talk about out loud, but it's happening every day in homes, communities, and relationships all around us. And it's not just about sex. It's about the human need for touch, for closeness, for connection, even with oneself. Somewhere along the way, society planted a lie in our minds. It whispered that after a certain age, things like sensuality, pleasure, and intimacy are no longer appropriate, that those desires belong only to the young, that we should quietly close the door on them after a certain birthday. And many seniors, out of respect, or confusion, or fear, believed it. Some stepped back because of grief, others because their bodies changed, and some because they didn't know it was still possible, or worse, that it was still important. But it is. What most people don't realize is this. Losing that connection doesn't just take away pleasure. It starts a downward chain reaction. When the body no longer experiences regular stimulation, even just light, non-sexual touch, blood flow decreases to essential areas. Neural pathways that once lit up with joy and connection begin to dim. Hormones shift, energy drops, sleep suffers. The immune system becomes less responsive. And eventually, the body fades, not from disease, but from disuse. I've seen it again and again. Men and women who once had a spark, an inner fire, slowly grow quieter, duller, more fragile. Not because their heart gave out, but because the part of them that felt most alive was left behind. Make no mistake, connection, sensation, and physical pleasure, whether with a partner or with yourself, are not luxuries. They're lifelines. And letting them go out of shame or misinformation doesn't just dim your joy. It can shorten your life. But here's the beautiful truth. It's never too late to reconnect. It doesn't matter how long it's been. It doesn't matter if your body has changed or your circumstances have shifted. Reawakening your connection to your own body can spark healing in ways you never imagined. It can restore circulation, revive hormones, lift your mood, and even sharpen your memory. But what is it about physical pleasure, particularly in later life, that makes it so powerful? How exactly does it protect your brain, your heart, and even your independence? Let's explore that next. Over the years, I began noticing a pattern in my patients who remained engaged with their bodies as they aged. Their posture was stronger, their minds were clearer, and their overall vitality held steady in ways that defied what many assume is just aging. The deeper I looked, the clearer the connection became. Maintaining physical pleasure, including solo touch, wasn't a nice bonus. It was a cornerstone of their long-term health. I know this may sound surprising, especially if you grew up in a time where such things were never spoken about. For many older adults, the very mention of self-pleasure brings discomfort, embarrassment, or memories of cultural messages soaked in shame. But biology doesn't listen to shame. And what the body tells us is stunning. After 60, the body naturally begins to experience a decline in several key areas. Blood flow slows. Hormone production wanes. Muscles and connective tissues lose some of their firmness. Even the brain's processing speed and focus can begin to taper off. But regular self-pleasure, including masturbation, has been shown to counteract many of these changes. And no, it doesn't require a partner or a performance. What matters is presence, connection, and attention to the body. When older adults engage in sexual expression, even privately, they stimulate something remarkable. Blood rushes toward the brain and limbs, refreshing tissues that might otherwise stiffen and shrink. The heart pumps more rhythmically, and perhaps most powerfully, the brain lights up. In response to sexual stimulation, your brain releases a cascade of chemicals, endorphins, dopamine, and oxytocin, that naturally reduce stress, boost mood, and calm the nervous system. Sleep improves, anxiety settles, and yes, testosterone levels can also gently rise, helping preserve bone strength, muscle mass, and emotional resilience. These shifts are subtle, but when they happen regularly, they add up, and over time, they can significantly affect the way you age. Even more fascinating is what happens neurologically. When we experience sexual pleasure, the brain activates areas tied to memory, emotional control, problem solving, and even creativity. In essence, it's not just good for the body, it's a workout for the mind. I've watched patients in their 60s, 70s, even 80s, who chose to remain connected to their physical selves, blossom in ways that surprised even them. They had more energy, clearer focus, a spark that others around them noticed, often without understanding where it came from. But beyond the biology, something deeper happens when a senior allows themselves to reconnect with their own body in this way. There's a sense of personal worth that returns. Masturbation, in this context, becomes a form of honoring. It's not about fantasy or shame. It's about telling yourself, I still matter. My body is still capable. I still deserve to feel alive. And when that message lands, when someone over 60 truly begins to believe that their body is still a source of joy, of connection, of life, everything changes. They begin eating better. They become more interested in walking, gardening, and moving in ways that keep the body limber. They reconnect with friends. They initiate conversations with partners. There's a ripple effect that extends far beyond the bedroom. And so when someone asks me, isn't it too late to explore this again? I always offer the same reply, delivered softly, but with conviction. No, it is not too late. It is never too late. Yes, your body may need more gentleness. It may take longer to warm up. But the capacity is still there. Dormant, perhaps, but not gone. It is there waiting, not just for the sake of pleasure, but for health, for joy, for the kind of deep personal vitality that radiates from within. But if all of this is true, if solo pleasure is so essential, then why are so many older adults afraid to embrace it? Why do so many let it quietly fade into the background? The answer lies in a handful of hidden beliefs, myths, really, that have stolen vitality from countless seniors. And until we bring them into the light, they will continue to hold people back from one of the most healing, nourishing parts of being alive. Let's walk through those next. Throughout my many years working with aging adults, I've seen strong, resilient men and women slowly lose their inner fire. Not because of disease, but because of deeply rooted beliefs they didn't even know they carried. These misconceptions creep in quietly, often disguised as maturity or realism. But the truth is, they can be just as harmful as any chronic condition. One of the most damaging of these myths is the idea that physical pleasure simply stops being important after a certain age. I've heard it time and again. I'm too old for that, spoken with a half laugh or a wistful sigh. But beneath the words is a deeper story, one of resignation, of grief, of silently stepping away from a part of themselves that once brought joy. But here's the truth. Aging does not erase your body's need for connection. It doesn't remove the desire to feel good, to be touched, to experience closeness, whether emotionally or physically. What it does do is shift how those needs are expressed. They may become gentler, slower, more nuanced, but they don't disappear. When we buy into the idea that these needs are no longer valid, we end up living in a body that's only half alive. It's like living in a home but never opening the curtains or turning on the lights. Yes, you can survive, but at what cost to your spirit? Another heartbreaking belief is the one that says, seeking pleasure alone through self-touch or masturbation is shameful. Many older adults grew up during a time when even saying the word was considered taboo. Self-pleasure was wrapped in secrecy, in guilt, or worse, in moral judgment. And those messages don't simply vanish. They stay lodged in the subconscious, quietly whispering, "This is wrong. This isn't for people like you." But I want to speak clearly and directly here. Touching your own body with care and respect is not something to be ashamed of. It is a form of health, of healing, of saying yes to your own existence. It's a way of reminding yourself that your body is not a burden or a relic. It is still a source of life. Then there's the myth that withholding sexual energy somehow protects or preserves strength. This idea, rooted in outdated interpretations of purity or discipline, suggests that abstaining from pleasure makes us stronger. But what I've seen, over and over again, is the opposite. When older adults stop engaging with their bodies, they don't conserve energy. They lose it. Circulation diminishes, hormones fall out of rhythm, muscles weaken. And just like any part of the body, when the systems tied to pleasure are not used, they begin to fade. Touch, sensation, and arousal are like muscles. They need regular, loving attention to stay alive and responsive. But perhaps the most dangerous belief of all is the one that separates sexual health from overall health. In reality, the two are intimately connected. Your sexual well-being is not some separate compartment. It is woven into your cardiovascular system, your brain health, your emotional resilience, your immune strength. When you nurture one, the other improves. When you ignore one, both begin to decline. Yet this is the misconception most often missed, even by well-meaning doctors. Because if you treat intimacy as optional, you're missing a vital piece of the health puzzle. That's why I believe naming these myths is so powerful. Because when you can see them for what they are, outdated ideas rooted in fear, shame, and cultural conditioning. You can choose to release them. You can rewrite the story of what aging means. And you can step into a version of your later years that feels fuller, richer, and far more alive. Of course, awareness is only the beginning. Once you've seen the truth, the next question is always the same. What now? What can I actually do? That's why now, I'll walk you through the exact steps I've taught hundreds of patients. A practical roadmap you can follow to gently, confidently restore your connection with your body. This is the part where transformation begins. Let's move into it now. When I began working with older adults to help them reconnect with their bodies, it became clear that inspiration alone wasn't enough. What they truly needed wasn't just encouragement, but a clear path forward. Something practical. Something they could follow with confidence and care. That's how the restoration method was created. Not as a rigid formula, but as a gentle framework built around the realities of aging bodies and the emotional terrain that often comes with them. It's about respecting where you are, while reigniting the parts of you that still long to be felt, touched, and known. The first step is preparation, and it may be the most important. Before anything else, you must carve out a space that tells your nervous system, you are safe here. You are allowed to rest, to feel, to explore. That means choosing a room where you won't be interrupted. Adjust the lighting to something soft and warm. Sit or lie in a position that supports your body, perhaps a recliner, or a bed with extra pillows. Have a gentle, high-quality lubricant within reach. These may sound like small details, but they send a powerful message. They say, my health, my comfort, my pleasure, they matter. From there, the body needs relaxation. And not the kind you force, the kind that unfolds slowly, like petals opening after winter. Begin with your breath. Let each inhale deepen just a little. Let each exhale carry away tension. Feel the tight places in your neck, your back, your belly. Begin to release. There is no rush. This isn't about achieving anything. This is about arriving in the present moment, fully, quietly, with compassion for yourself. Once your body begins to settle, you move into a stage I call awakening. This is where you begin to gently reintroduce touch, not goal-driven, but curious. Explore the areas that are often forgotten. Your arms, your inner thighs, your chest, your stomach. Touch these places with kindness, with interest, without judgment. You're not evaluating your body. You're listening to it. You're asking it to speak. And often, it does, with warmth, with tingling, with emotion. These are signs that your body remembers what it means to be alive. And when that connection starts to return, you can begin to engage with focused stimulation. Again, there's no destination. There's no perfect way. Allow arousal to build gradually. Use your hands in slow, mindful movements. Let sensation unfold at its own pace. Let it surprise you. You may discover depths of pleasure that feel different from your younger years. Less urgent, but more expansive. It's not about reliving the past. It's about discovering a new language with your body. One rooted in patience, reverence, and self-love. Then comes the part so many people forget. The integration. Afterward, pause. Close your eyes. Place a hand on your heart or your belly. Breathe deeply. Offer gratitude to your body. Even if the experience was small, even if it was emotional, even if it stirred something you don't quite understand yet. This moment, this act of presence, is what allows healing to take root. It's where the benefits move beyond the physical and begin to restore something deeper. This isn't about performance. It's not about fixing something that's broken. It's about reconnecting with a part of yourself that has been waiting, quietly, patiently, to be remembered. Even one small spark of reconnection can ripple outward into better sleep, steadier moods, and renewed motivation to care for your whole body. And that sense of belonging to yourself, of coming home to your skin, can be one of the most powerful shifts you'll ever experience. Of course, the journey isn't always smooth. Even with the right steps in place, there are moments that challenge you, moments that can cause you to doubt, withdraw, or give up. That's why understanding what to expect along the way is just as important as knowing where to begin. Because staying connected to this practice means knowing how to meet those challenges with grace, patience, and unwavering kindness toward yourself. Real change is rarely a straight path. There are days when everything flows effortlessly, when your body feels open, your mind quiet, your heart steady. But there will also be days when nothing seems to work, when touch feels distant, when your thoughts get in the way. When old stories whisper that maybe this isn't for you, those moments are not signs of failure. They're part of the process. And the more gently you can meet them, the more likely you are to move through them and come out stronger on the other side. One of the first challenges many older adults face is expectation. The mind often clings to old memories. What pleasure used to feel like, how quickly it used to come, how your body used to respond without hesitation. But now, things may unfold more slowly. Sensation may take time to awaken. And when it doesn't match your memories, disappointment can creep in. It's easy to feel discouraged, to wonder if something's wrong. But nothing is wrong. The body has changed. Not broken, just different. And when you begin to let go of the idea that pleasure must look or feel a certain way, something beautiful happens. You begin to appreciate the subtle moments. A shiver, a wave of calm, a quiet tear that feels like release. These are all signs of reconnection, and they are deeply meaningful. Another obstacle is inconsistency. Just like a garden withers without regular watering, your body needs consistent care to thrive. Many people wait for the perfect mood to strike, but in the busyness of life, that mood doesn't always come. Instead, try creating a rhythm. Set aside time each week, even if it's just 20 quiet minutes, to show up for yourself, not as an obligation, but as an act of devotion. When you commit gently and regularly, your body begins to trust you again. And in that trust, the healing deepens. Then there's the trap of performance. This idea that something specific must happen, that every session must lead to climax, or look a certain way, or prove that you're doing it right. That pressure is a thief. It tightens your muscles, it narrows your attention, and it robs you of the very presence your body needs to open. Let it go. Let each moment be enough, exactly as it is. Whether you feel desire, sadness, pleasure, or nothing at all, the act of showing up is what matters most. Trust that something is shifting, even if you can't yet see it. And finally, we must talk about shame. This one runs deep. For so many, shame doesn't arrive with loud words. It lingers quietly in the background. It says, "You shouldn't need this," or "It's too late for you," or even, "This is embarrassing." Those voices are echoes from a different time, from childhood, from religion, from culture. But they do not belong to your body. They are not rooted in truth. And the best way to disarm them isn't to fight. It's to meet them with compassion. Say, "I hear you, but I choose to care for myself anyway." Every time you show up despite those whispers, you rewrite the story of what it means to grow older. You reclaim something that should never have been lost. There is no perfect way to do this work. No single formula that fits every body, every background, every history. But the thread that runs through it all is kindness. If you can offer yourself patience, if you can stay curious, stay open, and stay willing, then everything begins to shift. Slowly, yes, gently, but deeply. Over time, those small shifts ripple outward. Your sleep becomes more restful. Your joints feel looser. Your laughter comes more easily. Your appetite for movement, connection, and life begins to return. Not because you chased youth, but because you honored your body as it is, and chose to care for it fully. And while touch and emotional connection light a fire within, what you feed your body fans the flame. Nutrition plays a quiet but powerful role in restoring the very systems that support vitality. Especially after 60, when your body becomes more sensitive to both depletion and nourishment. Start with pumpkin seeds. A small handful a day can supply essential minerals like magnesium and zinc, which help regulate testosterone, support nerve signaling, and reduce inflammation in aging tissues. These tiny seeds may be especially helpful for both men and women experiencing a dip in energy or sensation. Leafy greens like arugula, spinach, and even beet greens are rich in natural nitrates, which convert into nitric oxide, a molecule that improves blood flow, strengthens circulation, and gently awakens dormant areas of the body. Better circulation isn't just good for your heart, it's critical for intimacy, cognitive clarity, and mobility. Dark berries, especially wild blackberries and cherries, provide polyphenols and antioxidants that protect delicate blood vessels, reduce brain fog, and improve the emotional centers of the brain. These fruits don't just fight disease, they nourish memory, mood, and even the body's ability to feel pleasure. And don't underestimate the power of hydration. Even mild dehydration can affect blood flow, muscle tension, and the nervous system's ability to respond to touch. A few extra glasses of water a day, especially with a pinch of sea salt or lemon, can bring surprising results. These foods aren't magic pills. They're quiet allies. When paired with the emotional and physical practices you've been learning, they become part of a powerful feedback loop, one that nourishes you from both the inside and the outside. Because real healing doesn't come from one choice. It comes from the way those choices build on each other. Slowly, gently, day by day, until your body no longer feels like something fading, but something waking up. This isn't just about pleasure. It's about presence. It's about honoring the body that has carried you through decades of joy and sorrow, of love and loss. It's about saying, I am still here, and I still matter. And when that realization roots itself in your bones, everything changes, not just inside of you, but around you as well. Because the more alive you feel within yourself, the more fully you can engage with the people, the places, and the moments that make life beautiful. And that, truly, is what aging with vitality is all about. Because real healing doesn't come from one choice. It comes from the way those choices build on each other. Slowly, gently, day by day, until your body no longer feels like something fading, but something waking up. And that awakening is not just physical. It's emotional. It's spiritual. It's the quiet moment when you realize that your story isn't ending. It's deepening. That your body, even now, is still capable of giving and receiving. That life isn't behind you, it's still unfolding. You've carried others. You've endured more than most will ever see. But now, it's your turn to be held. To reconnect. To rediscover the quiet joy of being fully present in your skin. This isn't about looking back at youth. It's about honoring everything your body still is. Capable, beautiful, worthy, alive. And if something in today's message stirred something in you, a memory, a hope, a question, I'd love for you to stay connected. Subscribe and tap the bell so you never miss these gentle reminders that you are not alone. That there's still so much life to feel. And tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I read every one. Your journey, your voice, matters more than you know. Start small, be patient. Be kind to yourself. And remember, every quiet act of reconnection, every nourishing meal, every breath of presence, it all counts. Because your body is not your past. It's still your home. And it still has so much left to give.